Kids want to be artists. It's not, oh, I want a painting on the wall that people will buy. It's like, wow, look at what happens when I mix this color and that paint's just got a mind of its own. And it's, you know, that excitement of discovery that a child has when they're playing at art hasn't ever left me, that I really like that process. My parents really did not want me to go to art school. For them, it was a real step down. I was going to be the first person in the family to go to a real college. And for me to forfeit that opportunity and not go to a real school and learn history or English, but to go to an art school, felt to them like going to a trade school, and for a trade for which there was very little hope of actual employment. So they were very much against it, said, we will support you if you major in history or English, but if you major in art, you're on your own.
My dad was a real good musician. He could play almost any instrument. And my mom was a really good seamstress. And so I think it was just sort of like the combination of their talents, and maybe they could have been artists, but you know, where they came from, being an artist was absolutely out of the question. Most
of my life, if anyone asked me what I was going to be when I grew up, I always said teacher. And one day, I remember it pretty clearly. It just hit me. I don't want to do that. I want to do art.
I was sort of on the floor in my parents' home drawing cartoons when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And my grandfather was sitting in a chair beside me and looked down and said, look what this child has drawn. And he picked it up and showed it to everybody. And I just puffed up, and from that day on, I was called the artist. So that's how I got my start. And all through grade school and high school, everybody called me the artist instead of using my name. There's the artist. And then I went into school, art school.
So I got to go to school and on my own, and just got a job making earrings in a little jewelry store in the village, and put myself through school.
When I first started out and stuck my neck out to become an artist full time, the first 2 years or so, 3 years, I couldn't sell anything. I couldn't win anything at shows. And I kept seeing work that I felt like I was better than, but I just wasn't getting the recognition. And then luckily, it all just kind of came together, and I started winning and selling. But that was a rough time, because I thought, oh my gosh, I moved, away to a state that I was unfamiliar with, and did all kinds of changes in my life. And now I can't do anything with this career, and my friends sacrificed and everything. It was a rough time. So that was definitely the period of doubt.
So I think that doubt, I think it's a part of what is happening when you're learning something new. That when my skills and abilities are like moving up a little notch, that first time that new thing starts to manifest feels unfamiliar. I don't know what it is. It scares me. It feels like I'm making a mistake. And I think that's one of the mechanisms of making progress in anything, is that every new thing that you've learned, and when it first manifests, feels like you're doing something wrong. Take the money and run, licking the sugar off the outside.
That's what motivated me, was knowing that I had this little bit of talent, and I could draw things to make things look like what they were, and it was seemingly easy for me. So I just took off with it.
I did not consider what risks I was taking. I only considered what I really wanted to do. Out of any 20 paintings, 3 or 4 of them wouldn't be good enough. They would really be terrible and have to be painted over. 15 out of 20 would be perfectly fine paintings. Yeah, there it is. It's what I intended it to be. And 1 would be a better painting than I know how to do. It would be a painting that I could not duplicate. It'd be a painting that would have something in it magical, where I came back to the studio the next day and I'd go, wow, where did that painting come from? Who did this? How did this happen? Whoa, And then I learned from those. It's like, what surrounded the process that brought me to that final image? How did that work? And the more, if I could do 20 paintings in a year, I'd get one of those a year. If I could do 20 paintings in a night, I could get one of those a night. So it really inspired me, motivated me to not wait till I was in the mood, to just paint.
I change all the time. I mean, I'm working with texture now, just experimenting. But I always seem to go back to, I really like the urban grit kind of paintings. I always seem to go back to that with figures.
I can be just tired and consumed with the petty details of life's complications and get up and start painting and everything shifts. It's just part of the bigger thing. I actually am responsible for the Tench building being a public studio space.
Well, I have a studio at the Tench building, and my work almost always is based on contemporary realism. Although I'll try textures and abstract and incorporate those things, but mostly you'll always find some element of realism in everything I do. After a year in the Tench building, I decided I really wanted to be downtown, and I was ready to make a commitment to get my own space. And I now own this building. You know, circumstances conspired to turn my effort to find studio space for myself into a real transformation for the area, and you know, an opportunity now for many artists to have studios. And then I thought, I wondered, because it was just so pretty, with the candlelight and the reflections, and but I wonder if that's even a paintable thing. The way artists are presented historically, oh, well, this was their emerging time, and then they went through this period and this period, and there's this sort of assumption made that somehow the artists knew where they were going the whole time. And I think that's really, that takes all the fun out of it.